Thanks again for joining us for Yates American J180 restoration. In this episode, we're going to get the left and right frames attached to the base. We're also going to adjust the table play and the roller height. Before I assemble these frames to the base, I need to put these alignment pins back in. One thing I do need to do on the base is I need to remove these jack stands because they're in the way of where the frames need to go. I'll put a different table support here. Get a little grease on these ways. I'm sure someone following along probably saw this right off, but with that horizontal shaft sticking out, I'm not going to be able to assemble it the way I wanted to. So I'll just remove that shaft and we'll continue here in a moment. I've got that horizontal shaft removed. Get some grease on these ways. Okay, now that I have the frames in place, I'm going to adjust these gibs. So there are 4 gibs. They're held in place by these 8 3/4 inch bolts. The gibs serve to adjust the play in these vertical ways, and they also serve to adjust the height of the rollers. So I'm going to loosen these 8 bolts that hold the gibs in place, and I'm going to start by adjusting the horizontal play with these. So there's one here and then there's one on the other side here. So these gib adjustment screws are all loose because I installed them clean. I'm going to tighten them to where they're pretty snug, and then I'm going to back them off a 1/4 turn. So these are 1/4 fasteners, so that's 50 thousandths per revolution. If I back it off a 1/4 turn, that's about 12 thousandths. So I'm just going to work with that for play, and then tighten the lock nut up against the casting. When you're tightening them up, you really need to hold on to the head while you tighten up the lock nut so it doesn't change. There. For the roller height adjustment, these bolts have to remain loose, and then this set screw, this jack screw I guess it's called, adjusts the height of the gib, which has the roller on it. I'm going to adjust the rollers so they're about 3/1000 of an inch above the table. So that initial adjustment made it about net. Raise it a little bit more. That's a little high. Okay, I'm going to call that good. And then with the roller height adjusted where I want it, these bolts get tightened up. So we'll do this on each of the 4 corners of the rollers. Same thing. I almost forgot, once everything's tightened up, you want to tighten up these jam nuts. Okay, I've got the table gibbs and the roller height adjusted the way I like it. However, I noticed when I was cranking the height wheel there, it was very difficult to crank up. And just on the off chance, I thought maybe these nut plates, these 2 jack screws, were maybe interfering each other or fighting each other. I loosened these 4 bolts on the nut plates just so these could float a little bit, and immediately the crank was working much easier. And then I snugged up those 4 bolts on the nut plate. These nut plates will still need to be adjusted because the table needs to be level from left to right, and so these nut plates are used to make that adjustment, rotating it one way or the other. And we'll do that later on once the cutter head is on.